Hi guys, thanks so much for stopping by. You are watching the very first episode of Ask Sandy. Dear Sandy, how do I move on after my relationship has ended? How do I stop feeling stuck? Now, by the time we feel or we say we are feeling stuck, that means that we've spent the amount of time that we probably deemed appropriate to either be angry about what happened, to be sad about what happened, to grieve the loss of the relationship. When we say that we are feeling stuck, that means that in our mind, whatever that time frame was, we feel as if that time has now passed and I'm stuck. So today, in response to the questions, I'd like to give 4 steps to get unstuck. Step 1, assess the source of the pain. And I think one of the things that we have to do when we feel stuck after a relationship has ended and we just can't seem to get out of this feeling, this bad, negative, oppressive, and sad feeling, is that we have to assess the source of the pain. Because it's very likely, once you're in the zone of now feeling stuck, that your pain has very little to do with the person you're not in a relationship with anymore. The pain is probably more so connected to how you feel about yourself, how you view yourself, how you feel disappointed or accountable for the fact that the relationship ended. The pain is probably more than likely connected to your feelings of inadequacy in relationships or in that particular relationship. The thing that we women do all too often when a relationship does end is that we will tear ourselves apart. What's wrong with me? What did I do? Of course, no one would love me. Of course, and even if it doesn't get that extreme in thought, it's probably somehow all mixed in there once you are stuck. So it's very important to assess exactly what is the source of the pain. Because if you continue to give the credit of that pain to the person you're no longer with, you will probably be stuck for a bit longer. So, in the interest of not being stuck any longer than necessary, the hardest thing in the world is going to be keeping it 100% real with yourself and being willing to ask yourself, why am I still unable to move forward? Why am I standing in this one place waiting for something to happen so that I don't have to address what's really making me feel this way? And a part of that can also be fear. Sometimes we're stuck and unable to move on from a relationship that has ended, as if we're hanging on to the past of that relationship for dear life, as if that's it. That was like your last shot. And if you're thinking like that, if you're feeling as if there's no other relationship out there for you, and therefore you must commiserate over the loss of your last relationship indefinitely, I am telling you right now that that feeling has nothing to do with the dude who's no longer in the picture. It is so much deeper than that. And it's deeper than that because, bottom line, guys, fear is a bitch. Fear is a bitch. Fear will have you stuck in one place for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, more. Stuck in a place waiting for someone to either come and rescue you, to make everything okay. Or fear will make you so afraid that you'll never risk, having this heartbreak again, so you won't even really try to get into another relationship. You won't be open to it. You will be closed. Fear is a bitch. So I say the first step is assess the source of the pain. Because by the time you're stuck, whatever happened in that relationship, whether it ended on a really negative note, or maybe you guys just grew apart, whatever the situation was, by the time you're feeling stuck, you are now doubting yourself. You are now doing harm to yourself. So you have to face that and you have to deal with that. And you cannot label that by the name of the person who broke your heart. Because if it were not that person and you're this kind of vulnerable to needing that validation, then it would have been someone else. And the reality is, people always try to make it seem like external validation is a bad thing. I think wanting external validation is actually a very human thing. So I don't really, some people, you shouldn't need validation, but we're human. I think most humans want some validation of some sort. But the problem is when that validation doesn't come. And when it doesn't come, you're now stuck and on pause in your own life until someone else comes along and push play. Now that we can't have. So assess the source of your pain so that you can really get down to the source, the root cause of what's making you stuck, and you can begin to pull yourself out. Step number 2, be strong. I think it's important to say what that doesn't mean. Being strong does not mean that you cannot be vulnerable. Being strong does not mean you have to pretend as if everything is a-okay and that you're totally over it and you're indifferent to what happened. Being strong does not mean you cannot reach out to friends or family members who you can trust and who will be good counsel to talk through some of this stuff. Being strong does not mean that you cannot seek some kind of counseling or from whomever, a licensed therapist, if you would prefer your pastor, or counseling through your church. However you want to get your counseling. If you need extra help, you should get it. So being strong when you're trying to get unstuck means that you're really willing to feel everything with an end game of, I'm coming out of this shit. And in order for you to go through, you got to be strong enough to feel the pain, to ask for help when you need help, to talk it through if you need to talk it through, to be honest with yourself about what it is that you're actually feeling. You have to be strong enough to know that there is the other side of through. Because the bottom line is, when you're feeling stuck after a relationship has ended, you have to be strong. If you want to win, you have to be strong because you are fighting. You are not fighting for the relationship that no longer exists. You are fighting for you. You are fighting for you, your happiness, your joy. So you have to be strong enough to know that although I may be feeling some kind of way right now, I will do whatever I have to do, whether that's cry, take up a hobby, do whatever. Go out and date some people you don't really even like, but you know you just got to get back out there if that's the case. Okay? You will do whatever you need to do because you're important enough. You matter. So unless you plan on pitching a tent in the tunnel, you're going to have to come on out on the other side. And that's going to take some strength when you feel so emotionally beaten down. But come on now, because you are worth it. So you can't pitch a tent in the tunnel. You got to be strong enough to pull up the stakes, carry them on your back for a while if you have to, drop them off one by one as you see in the light at the end of the tunnel, because there is a better situation on the other side of what you're going through right now. Be strong enough to believe that. Step 3, you've got to be willing to create a new dream. Who said your dream had to be fulfilled with that person? Because I'm not willing to say your dream is bad or that you need to throw your dream out the window, but who's to say that your dream, now that has you stuck because it's connected to the person who's no longer there, Who's to say that the dream was supposed to be fulfilled with that person? I would say if that person is no longer in the picture, the dream wasn't meant to be fulfilled with that person, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the dream is bad. So let's do a lessons learned, right? Now we're gonna try to do some stuck prevention, okay? Because I'm not down with throwing away a dream if you have a dream of having a healthy relationship. What's wrong with that? What I'm telling you need to throw away is this thing where you're automatically casting that person who you feel serious about now in that role. You hold on to your dream, and if that person begins not to meet what that role requires, in order for you to be in a healthy and happy relationship, you got to cut that person. Not yourself, not your spirit, not your soul, not your joy. You got to cut that person. Because what you want is not the problem. You trying to force someone into that role who doesn't fit is the problem. And the last and final step, step 4, is to show gratitude. That might sound a little crazy if you're feeling stuck. But you need to show gratitude for the relationship that no longer exists. You need to show gratitude for the experience. The gratitude is about appreciation for what you have, not what you want. You hear me, ladies? Gratitude is appreciation for what you have, not what you want. Maybe you should make a list of all the reasons you have to be grateful. And look at that list. Put everything on the list that you can think of, no matter what it is. Whether it's family, friends, pets, certain skill sets you have, gratitude for your own existence, your life, how beautiful of a person you are. Make a list. Make a list and really be intentional about that list. If it's a matter of being grateful for being able to, see spring flowers or to enjoy the ocean or whatever it is. If it's gratitude for a great book that you read, whatever it is, write a list of what you're grateful for right now. The list of things that you have, not the things that you want. An appreciation list for what you have. Make your list. And when you look at that list, if at the end of that list, after you look at it, maybe you look at it for a few days, you ponder on it for a few days, maybe you read it over and over every day just to try to, to help you start, pulling up those stakes out of that tunnel, no, not pitching tents anymore. You got to pull up those stakes and get moving. If you got to review that list every day, add to the list. If you look at that list and you find yourself being willing to kind of just dismiss all of that, throw it out the window because you're still longing for the relationship that no longer exists, you need to go back to step 1. You need to go back to step 1 and spend some time there, because you are worth it and nobody needs you to be stuck. The world doesn't need you to be stuck. You're here for a reason. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you for asking the questions. And until the next time, thank you for allowing me to have my 2 cents.